Yeah. All right. You ready? All right. All right. I'll catch you later. Yeah, thank you. All right, so we are in the McLaren 570S today. We're going to do a Q&A going over some of the most frequently asked questions that I get regarding media business. Don't mind the wind. I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do the top down and do some speed runs so we can make this a little bit more interesting than your standard Q&A. So let's get into it. So question number one, why did I exit weddings and start a real estate media company? So some of you may remember me as a wedding photographer. So I spent about over 10 years photographing weddings, and I became an ambassador for MagMod. I traveled the country speaking for them, educating. I did some conference stuff. And so a lot of my audience might remember me from that and might be a little bit shocked to see that I am not really a wedding photographer anymore. Instead, I own a real estate media company. And so the question is why? Well, it comes down to scalability and systemization. So I found that as a wedding photographer, everything was very individualized and personalized, bride by bride, couple by couple. And that made it very difficult for me to scale my operation beyond just me shooting. And so while in real estate, the amount of money that you earn per project is lower, the amount of money you can earn year-round is higher. So, for example, in wedding photography, you charge $10,000 per wedding, but you do 25 of them per year, versus on a real estate shoot, I can get $1,000 for a real estate shoot, but I can shoot 300, 400, 500 of them per year. So it just makes so much more sense for scalability purposes to go the real estate route. On top of that, it's much easier to start hiring and training and delegating your workload to other people, versus in the wedding world, if you start hiring associates, you get a lot of pushback from your clients because they've learned to like you, they've learned to like your work. And so the moment you say, hey, I'm not available for your wedding, but I can send someone else, it kind of loses its excitement. And so for those reasons, I decided that I needed to pivot into something that I felt was a better business model for scalability and for systems. And so that's why I made the transition. So question number two, the biggest game changer in my business. Now, I think the biggest game changer for me came right around 2019, right before the pandemic. I was still a full-time wedding photographer. I was pretty much at my limit in terms of the amount of weddings and events and celebrity events and all that type of stuff. I was at my limit realistically on what I could cover, and I felt extremely burned out. And so I hired a therapist around that time, and the therapist was really solely dedicated to burnout and like business burnout and fatigue. And I started working with this therapist, and we started analyzing like what was burning me out, what was making it such that I was really struggling with my motivation from day to day and like my desire to keep working. And I realized that I was really being dragged down by a lot of things that I was doing every day that were kind of in the minutia of business. So like just general admin stuff, social media stuff, just things like that, where I was spending hours and hours of my day doing work that I didn't enjoy, doing work that wasn't very creative, and just wearing myself out to the point where just to keep a steady flow of bookings in, I was doing all of these responsibilities and jobs that were not really in my strong suit. And so through this therapist, I started to identify both what was burning me out, and second, what I was terrible at. because as human beings, we can't all be great at everything we do. And so through a lot of self-reflection and analyzation, I learned to accept that there are certain things that I'm just not that good at. Like, I'm not a very good social media manager. I'm not. And trying to be a social media manager and stay on top of algorithm shifts and social media and daily posting and trends and whatever the latest TikTok dance is, I hate myself when I do that. I can't stand myself when I sit there and think about how to game the next algorithm. So the biggest game changer for me was just learning to let go of the things that, one, are burning me out, and two, that I really just suck at. And I'm on an uphill battle. Every day I try to do things that I suck at. And so to sum that up, the biggest game changer for me was learning to let go and learning to accept that I'm not a one-man show and I can't be a one-man show. And the longer I try to be a one-man show, the more I'm just going to be burnt out and I'm not going to make any progress. And so delegation, primarily through virtual assistants, has helped me a ton. And I would say that is the biggest game changer for me. So question number 3. If I had to start my career over again, what would I do differently? Now, I think this is a good time to talk about leverage within your business. And this is something I didn't fully understand until maybe 10 years into my business. So when I started, I was full one-man show, full grind mode, full hustle mode, trying to do everything, trying to learn everything, deep diving into the most technical information about SEO and how to optimize my website, just things that I really did not belong doing and were a major waste of my time, because you don't really start to get good results from these types of strategies until you're good at them. And the bell curve or the learning curve to get good at these things is so extreme that you're going to wear yourself out before you even get good at these things. And you're really just fighting the whole purpose of getting into business anyway, because if I wanted to be an SEO expert, I should just be an SEO expert. I shouldn't try to be a photographer. So starting over, I wouldn't dig into that stuff. I really wouldn't. I would find a way to start making money as quickly and as easily as I could so that I could pay for people to do these things for me. And where the topic of leverage comes in is it's like a lever that you put into your business where you can put 1x effort and get 2x or more results. And so an example of that would be labor leverage. So just a quick hypothetical. If I'm making $100 an hour, but I can hire a staff of employees at $5 an hour, for every 1 hour I work, I can pay for 20 hours of my employees' time. And so now my 1 hour turns into 20 hours of output. Now that's called leverage. And now there's lots of ways to install leverage into your business. You can have labor leverage, which I just explained. You can have financial leverage, and that's when you have enough money to invest a significant amount of capital into your business to escalate the growth of it. You can also have content leverage. Now, content leverage is when you record educational or informational content that exists online that will funnel traffic to you on a regular basis without you having to work. Now that's a leverage as well. And so there's lots of ways to inject leverage into your business. But of course, when I started, I didn't know what leverage was. And so I was doing all of it, everything myself. And it was a huge, huge setback. It was a huge waste of time for me, because I would have been better off doing cold outreach, because I was a wedding photographer at the time. I would have been better off DMing recently engaged women and pitching my services and doing that day in and day out until I booked enough weddings that I could pay for an SEO person, I could pay for a social media marketing person, I could pay for an admin, I could pay for a web developer, I could pay to get these things done so that they could get done correctly and better and faster and with less effort on my part. And so, huge mistake on my end was spending years doing my own web development, doing my own marketing, my own social media marketing. Would not recommend. So if you're a young content creator and you want to get into this business and you want to do it right, start with cold outreach, figure out who your niche audience is, figure out who it is that you want to be working with, hit them on Instagram, hit them on email, give them a cold phone call, go to networking events, introduce yourself, make friends, find a way to start making money as quickly as you can, and then redirect that profit into building out your foundation, your web presence with SEO, your social media marketing, your web development, all of it. Throw money at it, because you can hire virtual assistants in the Philippines, in India, for $5 an hour, and you can maximize your leverage, and you can turn 1 hour that you spend shooting into 20 or 40 or 50 hours of support staff to help you grow things and scale things in a better way. So, getting into question number 4, how do I maintain inspiration and avoid burnout? So, there's 2 parts to this. There's your inspiration, and there's the things that cause burnout for you. And there's 2 parts of this equation. How do we increase our inspiration? How do we find more inspiration sources? And 2, how do we eliminate the things that are causing burnout? And I spoke on that a little bit earlier, but I'll speak on it again. But before I get into that, I want to talk about the inspiration, motivation, discipline, and habit cycle. So first, you have your inspiration. Now, everyone, especially as a creative, you know what inspiration is. Inspiration is that moment that you are hit with this euphoria feeling of being inspired to take action. So whether you went and saw a movie that inspired you, or you had a conversation with someone that inspired you, or you saw someone's work that inspired you, this is like a high that you run on the moment you become inspired. But the issue is, inspiration comes in peaks and valleys. You wake up, some days you're inspired, other days you're not inspired. Inspiration is something that you can't really control, and you're at the mercy of just life in general to provide those moments for you. But when those moments hit, you have to capitalize and take advantage. You have to ride that wave as much as you possibly can. Now, a step down from inspiration is motivation. Motivation is when you're motivated to get work done. You want to do things. You feel the motivation to make progress, but you're not quite inspired, but you're still motivated. And that's a little bit more common than your inspiration. Your motivation moments are going to hit you a little bit more often than your inspiration does. But then you have your discipline moments. Your discipline moments are when you are not inspired and you are not motivated, but you know that work has to get done regardless. Like, in order to keep this ball up in the air, in order to keep things moving forward, to grow, to scale, you know that you're going to have to do some stuff, even if you don't feel like it. And that's when the discipline kicks in. And with enough discipline, with enough doing things, you start to form habits. And when you form habits, you start to do things without the need of inspiration, motivation, discipline, you can just do them on autopilot because they are habitual. They have been added into your habitual nature. And so the reason I explain this is it's essential for you to understand what part of the cycle you are in this particular moment in time. Now, if you have just found a moment of inspiration, then that's amazing. Understand that, identify that you are in a moment of inspiration, and capitalize on it. Ride that high. Do as much work as you can do in these moments that you possibly can. Now, if you're currently in a motivation mindset, that's good as well. Ride that motivation out. Use this time for your creative ideas. Use this time for your bigger picture growth and expansion moments. These are the moments that you want to do your most heavy lifting, the heavy thought process, the things that wear you out. You do them in the moments of motivation because you have the energy, you have the mental capacity. Now, if you are in a discipline moment, you need to identify that. You need to self-reflect and understand, okay, I am not in a moment of inspiration. I am not in a moment of motivation. I am in my discipline moment, which means I need to transition out of the creative thought process. I need to transition out of the bigger picture process, and I need to focus on the busy work. I need to focus on the things that I know that I need to do. I know they need to be grinded out. It's not the most fun. It's not the most inspiring, but it's the work that I know that I need to do to keep the ball in the air. And that's when you kick into discipline. You tell yourself, today, I'm not really feeling like I want to work, but I know that there are a few key things that need to be done, so I'm going to do them. And the biggest trick I found for that is set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and tell yourself, for the next 15 minutes, I am going to focus on nothing but this task. I'm going to grind through it. I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to use that discipline. And over time, with enough forcing yourself into discipline, you form habits. And once you form habits, these moments of discipline come much easier. So that is the inspiration, motivation, discipline, habit cycle. Now, how do I keep myself inspired? I try to take inventory of the things that inspire me. So when I feel myself being inspired, I ask myself, why? Why am I inspired today? What has inspired me? What was the trigger that led me to this inspiration? And I write those triggers down, and then I force those triggers on myself when I feel that I need a new kickstart of inspiration. So things that I have found that inspire me personally are gratitude, being grateful for the life that I have, the career that I have, the business I have, reminding myself that my first job ever was making sandbags for $10 an hour for 12 hours a day. So having gratitude that I get to do what I want for a living, I get to have the job that I want, I get to travel the world, I get to make good money, I get to live a fulfilling life that I've always wanted to live. Those moments of gratitude inspire me, because the more that I work on this business, the more that I work on myself, the more that I develop skills, the more I get to do what I've always wanted to do. And so gratitude is a big inspiration trigger for me. thinking about the future and the future life that I want is a big inspiration for me. So sometimes I'll just look at houses on Zillow that I can't afford, and I'll just think, man, it'd be great to live in this $10 million house. And I would do this to that house, and I would change the flooring, and I would redo the kitchen, and I'd build the most epic home office in this $10 million house. And I do that for about 20 minutes. And then I think, man, I should probably get to work. Because if I want a $20 million house, or a $10 million house, or even a house, I should probably find some inspiration pretty quick. And that helps me a ton. Other things are, for me personally, I'm a car guy, hence the McLaren. And for me, sometimes I'll go to the BMW car configurer, and I'll configure the M4 competition that I want, and then I get pretty inspired. I'm like, all right, today's a good day to get some work done if I want to pick up an M4 next year. Things like that. Now, it's not all materialistic, of course. There's, you think about your future family, you think about the things you want to do, you think about, your future spouse and how the life that you want to provide for them, the life you want to provide for your kids. You think about these things, and then before you know it, you get pretty inspired. So those are some of my triggers. Those are some of the things that I force myself into thinking about when it's time for me to get inspired. And now the other part of that is, how do you avoid burnout? Well, burnout is really just, it's doing too much of the stuff that you don't want to do. And the real key to that is do less things that you don't want to do. Hire it out, systematize it, automate it, figure out ways to incorporate AI into your workflow, figure out ways to eliminate problems that cause you stress. Think about ways to eliminate busy work that you really shouldn't be doing. Things like that. Take inventory of why you are feeling burned out. Are you burned out because you're doing a bunch of busy work that drives you crazy? Are you burned out because certain clients are pissing you off and they're causing you stress and they're irritating you? Well, then you have to figure out how to get rid of them. What's burning you out? Do less of what's burning you out, and think about it from a delegation and a systems mindset. It's not an emotional decision. It's a systematized business decision. Why am I feeling burned out? And what can I do to not feel burned out? And that's it. And little by little, you eliminate these things, and little by little, you start to feel less burnt out. So number 5, the fastest way to increase revenue in your media business. So the fastest way that I have found to increase revenue is really focusing on LTV, the lifetime value of each client. Because oftentimes when it comes to making more money, it's not necessarily about finding more clients. It's about maximizing the clients you already have. And so that usually manifests in the form of upsells and figuring out long-term opportunities. So going from a one-off client to a monthly retainer client, or upselling a client from 1 or 2 services to 3 or 5 services. Because at the end of the day, your revenue is really, it's a reflection of the LTV, the lifetime value of each client, times how many clients do you have. So if you have 5 clients, but the LTV of each client is $20,000, then you're looking at $100,000. If you have 100 clients but the LTV of each client is $1,000, then you're still at $100,000. And so it's really a matter of the LTV. And how do you maximize LTVs? It comes in upsells, it comes in converting them from one-off clients to retainer clients, and things like that. And so I would say the fastest way to increase revenue is really just focusing on that LTV, because generating leads for new clients is obviously fantastic. That's what we all want. We want a steady flow of new clients. But if you already have a handful of clients, you don't need much more than that to increase your revenue. You can already increase your revenue just with the clients you have, just by focusing on those key things and that LTV. So question number 6, biggest mindset shift. For me, I think the biggest mindset shift, I think someone once told me that luck is when preparation and opportunity meet. And when I started thinking about that phrase, my mindset shifted from looking for, quote, opportunity and transitioning into being the most prepared person I can be, and then going out and finding opportunity for myself. So one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of new content creators or new media people make is they're always talking about the big break or connections. I need connections. I don't have any connections. I'm not making money because I don't have connections. This is a general excuse that you hear as to why they're not making money. And the truth is, connections don't mean anything until you are prepared to meet the expectation that comes when that connection comes. So I could connect you all day long with millionaires and billionaires who need content. But are they going to hire you? Probably not. Why are they not going to hire you? Because you're not as prepared as the other people that person could hire. Do you have the portfolio? Do you have the experience? Do you have the reputation? Do you have the skill set? Are you the person that can deliver on $1 million content package? If you're not, then you need to work on being prepared. Work less on the connection, work less on the opportunity. Take the power into your own control. So rather than placing the power in the universe or other people, you need to control the power yourself and say, what is it that I need to do to put myself in the very best position so that when that opportunity comes, I am the right person for the job and I can jump on that opportunity. And so that was the biggest mindset shift for me. Don't put the power in other people's hands. Don't be beholden to what other people want to offer you or not want to offer you. Be the very best you can be. Be the most prepared you can be. Stand above. And when you're in that position, when the opportunity comes, you'll be able to capitalize on it. And you'll stand above your competition. You'll be able to close those deals. And that's how you do it. So that was the biggest mindset shift for me. Number 7, should you niche or should you be general in the beginning? Now, I'm a big proponent of niching down, because I find that specialized labor can charge more money. not only can you charge more money for specialized labor, but the sales process is easier. So I'm a big fan of niche down. Solve a specific problem for a specific person. The reason being is, number one, you can charge more money if you are solving a specific problem. A specific problem comes at a premium. Number two, it's an easier sales process because it's easier to sell when you're solving a very specific problem for a very specific person. If you're trying to solve everyone's problem, it's pretty difficult to close that deal. And so, like I said, a big fan of niching down. Find your niche, solve a very specific problem for a very specific person, and then go out and find that person. And that's when your lead generation comes in. That's when your cold outreach skills come in. And that's how your targeting comes in. You find that specific person, you figure out exactly what their pain points are, what is it that they need, what is it that they struggle with, and how can you solve that problem, and how can you get in touch with that person and solve that problem and do it at a premium. That's going to be the best way for you to be able to close deals for bigger amounts of money with less reputation, with less presence, with less everything. And so definitely niche. And it also helps if you have any skill set that exists outside of media. So say, for example, if you spent 10 years working in tech prior to becoming a media person, that those tech skills can come in handy because you may know some of the pain points for certain people more so than others. Or if you worked in the wedding industry for a long time, you may know some of the ins and outs of the wedding industry that may allow you to solve particular problems for particular people. Or if you've worked in the medical industry or whatever the case may be, if you can pull existing skill set into your media business, that may give you a leg up into a particular niche, and that's going to help you go a long way. So do an inventory on yourself, reflect on your own personal skill sets, and figure out what it is that you can do to add that into your niche. Question number 8. This is a big one. Imposter syndrome. So, sorry, I had to get a quick speed run. So imposter syndrome comes from a lack of confidence. And confidence is really, it's tricky because confidence borders part emotional health, but also part success rate, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't say that by nature I'm the most confident person, but I don't have imposter syndrome, and I have confidence because I have overwhelming evidence that I know what I'm doing. And that's not an arrogant thing to say. It's just the reality of the situation. I've been in this business for 15 years. I've won every single time. Like, I've failed plenty of times, but I've turned those failures into wins. Every fail, I've just learned to be better and do better and fix problems. And so you throw me into a situation where I need to fix a problem, I'm going to fix a problem. Because I've done it before. Every single time I've had a problem, I fixed it. And so I don't have imposter syndrome. I don't worry about lack of confidence because I haven't ever been in a situation that I haven't figured out how to succeed. And even if the situation turns into a complete disaster, you're going to learn from it. And that learn is a win. And that learn is a confidence builder. Like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. Whatever led to that failure, we just won't do that again. And then everything will be okay. So, if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, you have to take a hard look at yourself. And number one, are you still alive? And if the answer is yes, you're still alive, then you've done a decent job so far in life. And then you need to ask yourself, have I made it through every problem that I have faced thus far? And if so, then you need to shed that imposter syndrome mentality, and you need to remind yourself, this is what I do, and I am going to do this every day. And no matter what happens, we are going to find a solution. We are always going to overcome. And with that in mind, forget about imposter syndrome. Everything's going to be okay. And that's really the best advice that I can give. Don't stress the small stuff. Everything's going to be okay. You're still alive thus far. Likely you're going to be alive tomorrow and the next day and the next day, which means that you're doing okay. So just keep it going, keep it moving forward, and that's the way my thought process works when it comes to confidence and imposter syndrome. So other than that, that wraps our formal Q&A. So I'm going to run and do some speed runs in the McLaren. We'll do some downshifts. We'll have some fun. And if I can impart any wisdom as I do it, I will. I don't know what that might be, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully I don't lose the camera as I'm doing some speed runs. This McLaren is insane. Oh, listen to that exhaust. Oh man. This is another inspiration trigger. If you ever want to find yourself with some extra inspiration, get behind the wheel of a supercar and just have fun. This is why, at least for me personally, this is a big why. And why I do anything, to be honest. I mean, the exhilaration and the excitement, the sheer just happiness that you get from this is just, it's incredible. And so let me think on any bits of wisdom I can impart for the new entrepreneur, or the new business-minded creative, I should say. So I think the highest ROI that you can make early on is in yourself, in your education, in your skill set, and in your knowledge base. And when I say education, I don't mean formal education. College is great, but I dropped out of high school. I never went to college. I don't even have a high school diploma. So I'm not a big fan of formalized education, but I am a big fan in investing in yourself. Learn marketable skill sets, learn just work on yourself. Work on your sales ability. Work on your lead generation skills. Work on your business mindset, your systems and operations, and thinking about leverage. Leverage comes from systems and operation. So don't get caught up in the minutia. Don't get caught up in the, what's my SEO ranking this week? How many views did I get on my last TikTok dance? It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. When you're talking about business, what matters is leverage, systems, operation. Don't think, what trend can I jump on to lemonade stand. I might have to stop for the lemonade stand in a minute. So much talking has got me needing some lemonade. Don't think about what the latest social media trend is. Think about, how can I make money to hire someone to capitalize on the latest social media trend for me? That's their responsibility. Do you really want to spend your days watching YouTube videos on Instagram's latest algorithm shift, and now the algorithm says that more twerking means more views? Like, is that how you want to spend your life? No. Go out, create some things, make some money, hire the 20-year-old social media manager who spends day in and day out learning about the latest Instagram twerk, and can report back to you and say, hey, this week on Friday, we're all going to get together. We're going to twerk together. Okay, this Friday we'll do it. If that's what we need to do, we'll take care of it. But I'm definitely not going to spend my time figuring that out. I'm gonna focus on what makes me happy. I'm going to focus on how I can inject cash flow into my business. Oh, yellow light. We made it. I'm going to focus on generating that cash flow and getting that stuff handled. So I think that wraps it up for this Q&A. We'll try to get into these often because it's a lot of fun. Maybe we will jump into some other cars and go for a ride. Oh man. And that was 115, which I think is a felony. So we're not gonna do that. Not on public roads. Okay, one more time. Around the corner. Oh, man, the handling. I hope there's no sheriffs around here, because we are breaking some minor laws today. All right, that wraps it up. We are done with the Q&A. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll try to get on these a lot more frequent, on a frequent basis. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and next time I'll do my best to get to it. All right, that's it for now.